height of the evil domination of Boss Jim Getty. I am speaking of Charles Foster Kane, the fighting liberal, the friend of the working man, the next governor of this state, who entered upon this campaign with one purpose only, to point out and make public the dishonesty.
Good afternoon, people. Welcome to another episode of Movielabeoufs. I'm buff number one, Todd.
I'm buff number two, I guess.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm Owen.
Buff one, buff two.
Is that what we're called now?
I don't think so.
We should have, it's kind of like a radio show. We should have radio names. You should be the Goose.
The Goose?
You're listening to O-Dog and the Goose.
Oh, God, this is so bad. Like the fucking Dean Blundell show.
Yeah, God.
Oh, no. Lost me our Howard Stern show.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I can't watch the Howard Stern show.
I mean, he's a good interviewer.
I don't agree at all.
Really? I think he can be a good interviewer.
He talks too much, man. He talks over all the actors. They're like, he asks a question. I guess that's kind of like how he gets most information out, but he asks a question and they begin to like answer it. They say like one thing and then he asks another question instead of waiting for them to finish. Like,
yeah, that's kind of his style, though.
Yeah,
that's kind of.
I just don't really like it.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. I mean, he did an interview with Tom Brady that I thought was really good, and that was like the last one.
Is it like, why do you make out with your son?
I think that was asked.
What was the answer?
I can't remember.
Well, down here in the South.
He's not from the South.
Okay. Up here in New England?
Played in New England. He's originally from California.
That's South. I guess it's on the South.
No, it's not.
He has that like look that it's like the family, like the weird Southern Stepford Wives family look.
Do you just think that everyone who plays football is from the South?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I've seen Varsity Blues. I know that.
I've seen Waterboy.
The Waterboy.
Foosball.
That's the best linebacker I've seen since Joe Montana. Joe Montana was a quarterback.
Yeah,
one of the underrated Adam Sandler movies. It's like one of the last good ones.
Is that one of the later ones?
It's like 2000.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think it was Big Daddy, and then that was...
You're not a big fan of...
If it's after 2005, I'm saying no. Even Clay
goes... When was Big Daddy? Big Daddy's good.
Yeah, Big Daddy I think is like 99, actually.
Oh yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
And then Waterboy.
I'm trying to remember what the name of...
What's the other... Little Nicky was like, it was alright. It was...
Little Nicky is
Yeah.
I rewatched it for the first time since it came out like a couple years ago, and it doesn't really hold up in my opinion. No, it's not great.
You can do it, Nicky.
Well,
cover Winkler and V's again.
Do it. He's got to say that in every movie.
Oh, Schneider?
For some reason.
There's
Schneider, you're the you can do it guy.
Rob Schneider had this movie that like Rob Schneider's like really shitty movie career. He had some movie where he was like, it was called The Animal, where he was like where he was like put back together with like parts of different animals.
Yeah.
By some witch doctor kind of thing.
He had those movies where there was like one of those types of gimmicks, like that one.
Oh, Deuce Bigalow.
He was an animal, and then there's like Hot Chick, I think it's called, where he's a girl,
and then he becomes a prostitute, and Deuce Bigalow.
He had those movies. I guess it was Adam Sandler being like, "Hey Rob, I can see you being like this crazy guy. Here's this movie, and this movie, and this movie." Because those were all Happy Gilmore.
Oh, Happy Madison or whatever.
Sorry,
it is.
Happy Madison.
Yeah, those are all done by him. Well, they all are, like all the whole crew. But in Animal, Adam Sandler does the "You can do it." Yeah.
Wow, what a twist!
Right? They still fit it in, even though Schneider was already doing something.
You have The Sixth Sense, and then you have this.
Yes.
Animal.
Yeah.
The Animal.
Two very respected movies.
For twists.
Yes.
Those two biggest twists in movies.
Rob Schneider was the animal all along? Who'd have thunk it? Alright, I tell you crazy cool cats out there in Radio Land, here comes another smooth jazz hit coming your way. This is the bee's knees, man. That's the guy, the principal from Malcolm in the Middle. He was also the bad cop in Super Troopers. Like the detective. Not the detective, but like the guy who runs the cop station.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
I just watched Super Troopers. It's like a couple days ago. Yeah, holds up. Still fucking funny.
It's awesome.
I don't want a large farva. I want a goddamn liter cola. Get a large farva. Cass did not like it. She was like, I can see why the boys like this, but she's like, it's not for me. I was like,
yeah, it is a little dated.
Yeah. It's very bro-y, like, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but when did that come out? Was it
2002?
2002?
Yeah.
I thought it was even older than that.
No, I went back and looked at it. I was like 2002. I was like, because I think I saw that. Yeah, I must have seen it when I was like 13, right? And obviously at that age, I was like, this is great.
Yeah. All right, shall we talk about Mank?
Mank. All right.
So, Mank.
Generating a bit of Oscar buzz, Mank is.
Yeah, so Mank was directed by David Fincher. It was written by Jack Fincher.
His father.
It stars Gary Oldman, Amanda Seyfried,
and Lily Collins. So, Gary Oldman plays Herman Mankiewicz, otherwise known as Mank to his friends in the movie industry. Mm-hmm. He plays a screenwriter and critic who has been given the task to write the script for the new Orson Welles movie that Orson Welles has now been given full control of.
Yeah, it's RKO. Because it's the smaller, like, production company, so there's more control.
Yes.
Now. They're going away from, like, the Hollywood where it's all producer control. It's like RKO is smaller, and they can make more movies that are more, like, artistic and stuff.
Yes.
So they hired the young 23-year-old Orson Welles. Or
yes.
I think he's around that age.
Yes. It was, I think they decided it was after, as he was, like, starting out. And he was obviously famous for, like, his radio stuff. The War of the Worlds thing, wasn't that based on him? With the...
Because it was H.G. Wells' like story,
but as narrated by
Orson Welles narrated it, and
by his fantastic voice.
People thought it was legit. Yeah. So they keep saying he's the young
Wonderkin
from New York.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is funny because I'm like, you're gonna think this is so stupid, by the way. But I was like, Orson Welles is American?
Really? What did you think he was? German?
I thought he was British.
Really?
He has that like
Teddy Rose, not Teddy Roosevelt.
That like
Winston Churchill.
I am Orson Welles. You know?
No, he's very much American.
Well, yeah, I know.
I could see why you would think he was British.
I don't know my Orson Welles history that well.
You don't know Orson Welles that well.
Have you seen the commercial that he does? The champagne commercial where he's just like fucking wasted.
No.
Oh my god! All right.
Wait.
I'm showing you.
Okay, yeah, put it on.
Before you continue, yeah, sorry.
Action, Orson, please.
You just do anything?
No, sorry, cut. You're rolling. 102, take 2.
The French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence. It's fermented in the bottle, and like the best French champagne, it's vintage dated. So Paul Masson.
102, take 3. Action, please.
The French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson.
Jesus Christ!
Isn't that amazing? Oh god.
How fucking wasted was he when he shot that?
Just fucking wasted. I remember like reading like what he has one of those things where he describes his day, like kind of
A Day in the Life of Orson Welles.
Yeah, kind of like the Hunter S. Thompson thing, where he has the thing where it's like his daily routine. So he gets up in the morning and has a glass of champagne, and then I can't remember what the whole thing is, but it's like constantly drinking the whole day, and yeah.
That's probably why he died, or he ate too much. I don't know.
Yeah, both. Yeah, I think it was problems related to alcoholism, but yeah, it's. Which is sad because that's what his kind of legacy is now. Is that like commercial because it's kind of like famous. But imagine trying to shoot that. Oh man,
Mr. Welles, can you just do the take again?
But if Orson Welles tells you he likes your champagne, I'm buying that fucking champagne.
Checking that bottle.
I'm buying it right now. I'm
that
gonna go for that fucking thing. If Orson Welles drinks it, it's good enough.
It's good enough for me. Orson Welles gets loaded off at every goddamn Hey.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
No, yeah, it's all good.
Andrew
Yes.
Mankiewicz was hired to do the script.
Yes, he was approached by Wells to do the script for Wells's upcoming movie, where Mank is given full control of the writing and is tasked to write the script for Wells to begin filming the movie. Through this, we see Herman Mankiewicz kind of hustling and bustling through Hollywood, and it kind of shows...
so it goes, it's like flashbacks
Yes.
and present day, which is 1940. So it goes to 1932.
It goes between the 30s all the way up to the 40s. Many flashback scenes, usually pretty much covers like pretty much all of the 30s.
So when he's like writing Citizen Kane and when Orson Welles, is 1940s when the movie came out.
Yes.
So there's always been, and I knew about this, like there's always been this like Citizen Kane is about these real people, and so it's kind of shows you about Herman Mankiewicz's relationship
With the characters in question.
Yeah.
That end up being characters in Citizen Kane. And it centers around his relationship with Amanda Seyfried's character, Marion Davis, who is an actor from the 1930s, and her husband, William Randolph Hearst, who is played by Charles Dance. You may know him as the head Lannister, I believe, in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Tywin.
Tywin
He plays
Lannister,
Tywin
sorry.
Lannister, yeah.
Tyrion Lannister was...
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage's character.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So we know that Citizen Kane is like about these real people, and it shows you Herman Mankiewicz's relationships with all these people. William Randolph Hearst, who's the Citizen Kane
In question.
yeah, and specifically with his relationship with Marion Davis, and it's really interesting. It's kind of like because Mankiewicz wasn't really he wrote many books, right? And plays.
Yes, he was a playwright.
So he's coming into the movie, and he did a few movies with MGM, and then he's like, it's kind of him coming to disagreements in the movie industry, and his like hatred toward the movie industry, and this kind of being his last like, no, I'm gonna write a fucking good movie, and then fuck you guys, I'm out type of thing.
It's a period piece.
Well, yeah, and it specifically is like David Fincher made it to kind of
Pay homage.
Yeah, and he kind of films it that way. We'll get into all that.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a background look at the writing of Citizen Kane.
Yeah,
it's kind of a behind-the-scenes look at how the movie was made,
and also the political campaign with Sinclair.
Yes,
the other guy, and the creation of the slander campaign.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah, which is interesting because I was thinking when they made that slander campaign, I was like, oh, this is the first Sensodyne commercial. Where they have like clear actors being like, and they do those film angles, the like canted angles where it's like make them look like they're shitty filmmakers and it's real people and it's like obviously paid actors.
Yeah, it gives you a really good look into like how things were done back then. Which is kind of cool to me. I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah, the like Hollywood, the 1930s Hollywood stuff.
Yeah, when Hollywood was on the rise.
Yeah,
like, the rise of the motion pictures. Right?
They were making basically just like shitty movies, like serial movies. Like
it's like the name of the game. The more you pump out.
Yeah. Yes,
exactly. The Netflix way of doing things.
Right. So I guess we're going full circle.
Yes, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
But yeah, they're all working on these shitty serial movies. We see I can't remember the name of the movie. The movie Marion Davis is filming, or it's like the cowboy and Indian movies. It's really like ridiculous, and she's on this like 20-foot tall pyre.
And the money that they spent to build the sets for these things, like
so it shows you how interesting it was that Citizen Kane came in this time, 1940s, which was like kind of nothing like it at the time. And obviously Citizen Kane is still regarded as one of the greatest movies ever made. Let's talk about the filmmakers and the actors and stuff. So
a little story behind the movie, if you will.
David Fincher, of course. Everybody knows who he is.
Yes.
Name some of his work.
Well, wait, so David Fincher's movies?
Oh, God.
Blaine.
Fight Club.
Fight Club. Damn it. We were just talking about it. Yeah. I was sitting there, I was like, Fight Club?
Social Network.
A little bit about David Fincher. So we all know David Fincher for his films such as, Fight Club, Seven, Zodiac, actually, a very good movie.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed that movie.
Me too.
Social Network, also.
Yeah.
which is him introducing like kind of like Trent Reznor as his sound guy in that movie. That was one of the first movies Trent Reznor did the score for, I believe.
True, yeah.
We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, so really interesting about the movie is that it's a script written by his father.
Yeah.
That his father had written
Fincher.
years and years ago. It's based on an article written in the 1970s about how Mank never got his due. But
in the Oscars, he got half credit.
He got half credit.
Credit.
He did get credit? I was okay. I was under the impression he got no credit. But
no, it was he shared credit with Orson Welles, even though Orson Welles didn't write any of it.
Oh, really? Oh, that's unfortunate.
To the movie.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm just realizing that now. I'm like, oh, that son of a bitch took credit for that, eh?
Yeah.
He directed
That's like
it.
their relationship went.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
they never spoke again.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No.
And in Herman Mankiewicz's like Oscar speech, he goes when he's accepting it. They famously both didn't go to the Oscars, but they went to his house, and he's like in Cuba or something, just like
drinking,
farting around, yeah. And they go to do his like little talk about the Oscar thing and give him his Oscar, and he goes, "Yeah, I don't know why I'm sharing an Oscar with someone that didn't have anything to do with the writing process, but anyway, cheers, Orson."
Huh?
It's just like,
Wow,
so
what a fuck
funny.
you, eh? Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Learned something new. There we go.
It's in the movie. This info I'm giving you is from the movie.
So it was written by Fincher's father, who tried to get it made on many different occasions, and I believe that in the 90s it was supposed to be made, and then I guess like script stuff, like backlog or whatever, obviously never happened.
Right.
And then Fincher's father passed away, and I think in the early 2000s.
It was like 2006 or something.
Yeah, and then
2003.
It kind of sat on the shelf for a bit, and then eventually he picked it up, and then made it into the movie that we have now.
Mm-hmm. So do you think this is kind of a passion project for David Fincher?
I would assume it's strictly a passion project.
So what do you think about the filmmaking? So David Fincher made it, so obviously it's in black and white, and he made it to kind of a lot of the lighting. He tried to match Citizen Kane and how they would have filmed back then. So what do you think about all those?
I really enjoyed it because, I mean, I like the nostalgia factor behind it. Like, I was like, oh, this is cool. It's shot like a 40s movie. And it is noticeable that it is shot like a 40s movie. Even with the sound, you know, it has like that very like gritty 40s like
so
feel.
The two things I liked the most were the pacing of the dialogue and in the script, which is kind of like His Girl Friday.
Yeah.
You know that movie. So it's in His Girl Friday, you know, they're working at, I think it's a radio station or newspaper, but
it's a radio station.
I'm sorry, I can't remember, but the way they talk to each other is just like they never stop talking, and it just like the script is like 200 pages or something crazy, but the movie's only an hour and a half or whatever because how fast they're speaking. Interesting fact too is the script for Pulp Fiction. The first line is reads like His Girl Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, he wants to tell the actors to speak fast. And,
cool.
And don't wait. And you see that in this movie where, especially when they're in the meeting, and that actually mirrors a scene in Citizen Kane, but they're in the meeting and one guy talks and the next guy talks. There's no pause.
Yeah, it has that like 1940s like, hey, we gotta get this thing done, like that fast like.
And also in the music, it's very like it's very like quick piano like.
So like with that is like as I mentioned before, is like Trent Reznor did the music. And obviously, we know Trent Reznor for doing like a lot of like synthy stuff. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like what gives Fincher's movies.
Trent Reznor from
9 Inch Nails.
Yeah,
but in this one, they used all practical instruments, like all instruments from the time. So everything, everything was.
That makes sense.
Everything is recorded as if it was done in 1940
or
1930. Sorry.
I wanted to mention a bit. I do like how David Fincher set out to kind of emulate a movie from the 1940s, and I might be one of the few to have this opinion, but it did not hit the mark in my opinion.
It didn't hit the mark for me either.
Did it?
No.
Okay, that's interesting. So why so in your opinion?
I mean, we're gonna get into it, like before getting into it, because we're kind of gonna get into a critique here of it, the whole thing. I kind of I start going into it, but it did have I mean, it did have the feel of it, but it didn't, though, at the same time, you know?
So, yeah, my issue with it was that, like, so I compared the two movies, too. I didn't watch Citizen Kane.
Recently.
No, not... But I have the movie, and I, you know, put it on and watch some scenes and stuff. Because one thing, I was watching the movie, and even pressing play on this movie, not even knowing the history, and that David Fincher tried to emulate movies like that in Citizen Kane, it was obvious. Yeah, it's completely obvious.
It's really obvious.
So I knew that, but I was thinking while watching it, I'm like, okay, these contrasting, like, there's too much contrast going on in the lighting, like, too many dark shades and bright shades, which I don't think they really had that as much at the time.
Now, I'm not a movie, like, I'm not a complete gear nut when it comes to, like, cameras and, you know, settings, but I do know that if you're using current technology as opposed to dated technology that they used back then, you're never going to get the same effect. Well, it's the same effect you would get with, you know, digital camera versus, you know...
And that's one thing, exactly
film,
what I was going to say.
It's not possible.
So David Fincher used RED cameras.
Yes, I read that.
Which are one of the leading, like, cameras in advancement of camera technology. And the really, really good cameras.
But not for this.
But yeah, I was like, why would you use those So I wanted to compare this with the movie The Lighthouse.
Okay.
By Robert Eggers, who did The Witch, and by the way, The Lighthouse is one of my favorite movies in, like, the last 10 years.
Oh, great.
I love that movie. But he used cameras from that time. He famously, like, The Witch, he's famous for doing incredible amount of research to match the dialect at the time, and he makes them feel like you're living in that time. With The Lighthouse, he did even more so. So yeah, the dialect there is amazing. The way he captures that, but also, like, down to the forks they use. He only used forks from that time, but specifically the camera he used, and it's in that small ratio, right? I don't know the exact ratio, but it's not like movie ratio. It's like on a almost square, because those are the cameras. They're like maybe Super 8s or something that they had at the time. He filmed the whole movie that way. So
why wouldn't Fincher do it this way either?
That's my question. And the aspect ratio is completely different between Mank and Citizen Kane.
Well, because
I don't really understand that.
To me, that was like one of my big faults with this, was that I saw what he was trying to do. Like, we get it. You're trying to recreate this, like, as if to feel like it seamlessly went from this movie into Citizen Kane, right? Like, that's what I feel like that's what they're trying to do. Like, they're trying to create, like, that it looks as if it was done in that time frame, but it does, you know.
So to me, it feels like this isn't the passion project, which it could be, but it feels like he doesn't care enough. And this may be...
This is all speculation.
And this may be ridiculous to say. Like, obviously, it's a lot more work doing it. Like, not everyone has to do, you know, forks from that time or whatever. It takes a lot to make a movie like that. But I feel like if you're trying to emulate a movie,
do it all the way.
Do it all the way.
Yeah. Why have all the extras? Why spend the big bucks to get all the great props from that time era? Which I'm sure they're using actual, like, props from that era because the studio probably has all that shit on hand. Why not just do it the old way? Why are you making a James Cameron style? Why are you shooting with, like, the highest end technology that you have when there's the old stuff's readily available?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just... I understand that it looks dated to some people. Maybe he just didn't want to lose the audience and being like, oh, this looks too... But at the same time,
I don't know. Would you feel that way watching The Lighthouse, though?
No, I didn't at all.
No.
But you lose... you kind of lose credibility at that point because it's like, what are you doing? If you're going to do it, go all the way.
But then here's the other thing, is, like, so few people are going to care about this other than people like me and you and
I mean,
you know.
But people need to see it that way, right? Like, you kind of got to look at it that way. Like,
my friend had a brilliant point about this movie, and he said it was a movie made for
movie snobs.
No, for film students.
Very true. I would agree with that.
Yeah,
100%.
They will nerd the fuck out that kind of naivety and like,
oh my god, it's shot like Citizen Kane.
yeah,
It's like,
and Citizen Kane's the greatest movie of all time.
Which we're gonna come
is
out.
it really?
We're gonna come out right now. I feel we both share the same opinion on this. I don't think Citizen Kane is as good as everyone puts it.
No, it
is. Is it a good movie? Yes.
it's amazing.
Is it the greatest thing since sliced bread? Fuck no.
No, sliced bread. Nothing beats sliced bread.
Yeah, you ever had
How
Wonder
dare you
Bread?
compare it to sliced bread?
But yes, and that's what I got with this movie overall. I got another Citizen Kane, and you know what? I don't need another Citizen Kane.
That's
It's
so funny.
okay.
It did feel a lot different. Here's the question: are we asshole nerds for having that opinion? Like, that's what I was trying to think. I was like, why am I being so critical of this when it's not bad? Let me reiterate: it's not a bad movie. Right?
It's not bad. It's watchable.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was a little like slow and stuff, but it wasn't very boring. There was just like too much information in my opinion. Like, I didn't really care for all the information.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with you on that one.
Which
also.
I get that they did. It was based around the campaign because they were, they wanted to show you the original slander campaign, which is a big part of the movie. But I didn't really care about it. And what was Fincher going for? Was he going for trying to relate it to like the Trump campaign and stuff like that? That's a question I had. Maybe
it's possible
because like Mank specifically is against like Republican, and it seems like they're trying to be like, oh look, Mank was ahead of his time because everyone's kind of like having that opinion right now.
Yeah, because he's a socialist. Yeah. That's what they're trying to say, is that he was ahead of his time for socialism. And it's very heavy on socialism, right? They have discussions of they talk about Hitler, they talk about politics a lot.
Like, Americans still don't even know what socialism is.
No. So what does it matter?
It's 2021 and they still think socialism is like anti-American.
Yeah, that's the big problem now.
Like Canada is a socialist country, right?
In a sense.
Well, yeah, it's socialist capitalist, but it's a democratic. But it is semi-socialist, yeah, especially more so
more so than the States.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that was one of the big things in the movie, is that they were like picking at political stuff. But I was like, I get it. I was like, it wasn't very like subtle. Like, it was like it was kind of like in your face kind of thing, and I was like, I get it. Like, I understand that it's a political thing too. Like, they're saying like, oh, the Republicans are wrong. We need to rise up. Like I was kind of getting that feel too, and I was like, okay. I was like, I understand. I was like, 1940s. You got to get a little like political around like what was going on in the era, right? But yeah, I don't know.
I was surprised how much it was about that. It seemed to be more about that than
it actually was in the actual movie. Yeah.
But there was a lot of good moments in there. Like
there were some good moments, some good scenes.
Yeah, like the showing the slander video. I really liked that. Now it's the norm to make videos like that. But the guy who directed it, his friend, ended up shooting himself, which really happened which is crazy to think about, because he made now like people like, who cares? Slander campaigns. Yeah, let's do it. Like, that's the name of the game in politics right now. It's just norm. Slander. So it's crazy to think about, like, the guy that made a commercial was so ashamed of himself for making that campaign that he ended up killing himself. But anyway,
real dark scene.
Yeah,
that was a dark scene. I remember sitting there. I was like, okay, like he's like, he had a box.
Gives him the bullets.
Yeah, she's like, he had a box. I was like, what the fuck? One of the darker scenes in the movie,
definitely. Yeah. But it gave it some heart. That's like one of the only things that
it made it seem like he cared. It kind of humanized his character a little more in that area,
right? As
to see him as like a drunk writer,
right? That's a good point.
Yeah,
but he's also, and I don't know if this was his actual relationship, but he's also great toward Mary Davis in the movie. Like, it's platonic.
Yes,
which is amazing, right? Like, platonic in the movie anyway. I don't know how it was.
Well, no, he's in love with her. He's infatuated with her. That's why he puts her husband, who is sorry, I'm forgetting his name, the tycoon, Hearst.
Yeah, Hearst.
That's why he makes him like the bad guy, right? And because it's just because of his like
you know, his hatred for him and how much he loves this woman and that he can't be with her because she's married to someone else who's also like very rich and powerful. And I think him knowing that he'll never be that rich and powerful kind of sets this out to be like, this is my way of like making my mark.
No, but he has a wife and they're faithful the whole time.
Yes, yeah.
It's interesting, yeah.
He has a few strange kids, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Oh, really? They don't touch on...
I think
they do.
They do talk about it very briefly, yeah. But you can kind of tell that it's very like a rocky relationship, kind of.
When I think about Citizen Kane, I think about Orson Welles and like his performance.
Yeah, and that voice.
And I don't really get that with Gary Oldman.
No, you don't.
And Gary Oldman's great, sure. But...
Well, Gary Oldman worked with Fincher before, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I believe they were always planning on doing this movie together when it got shut down in the 90s. I think that was always the plan.
Yeah, so what did you think of... So Gary Oldman, we said, plays the lead role, Herman Mankiewicz.
Monk. Monk is Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah.
Monk
is Tony Shalhoub. What did you think about Gary Oldman in this movie?
I thought he was pretty good. It was all right. Like, okay.
He was great. You know, and you expect that for Oldman. But there's always like a theatrics to Oldman. Oldman is...
over the top.
He's a play actor. He's a theater actor.
Yeah, a theater actor.
So, and he's one of the theater actors that still has that, like, projection. You act with projection. You stand like...
Yeah, like how Ian McKellen
you're
is
larger than life type of deal. So there's a little bit of that's always a little strange in movies. Depends on the movie. You know, if it's supposed to be like that, it totally works. But he always brings that to every character, which isn't an incredibly bad thing, but it's noticeable and sometimes can take you away from it.
Especially in Air Force One.
Yeah. What's his line in Air Force One?
Oh, fuck. Not to get off my plane one, but he has a really good one in that, and now I can't remember how it goes. What is it? He says, bring me everyone. Everyone? Everyone! Everyone!
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone?
Well, funny thing, I was like, okay, so... You know, every fucking movie that Gary Oldman does, he has to use prosthetics. He has to have a mask. Like, he's always fucking a different person, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
He always just, like, completely changes his appearance and face and everything.
Oh, yeah, like in the Winston Churchill movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in many others. But, so my point is here is, like, in the 40s, there's not much going on, maybe some makeup in present day. And then when they go to in the past, in the 1930s, there's like all this prosthetics on him to make him
look younger.
Look 10 pounds larger. And I'm like, God damn it, do you really need that? Like,
it seems like overkill.
Like he doesn't look that much different. I bet if I asked, like, did you notice?
I did,
yeah,
briefly, and I was like, it doesn't look the same. Like, you can kind of see it, when it
but
switches.
I bet if you ask, most people would say they didn't notice. And that's why it's like, what? Like, I guarantee, it's almost like it's in his contract or something. There must be prosthetics somewhere in this
Will
movie.
there be any prosthetics?
I'm an actor. I play different people.
What? Not even a mustache?
This is bullshit.
Continuing on with the actors, what did you think of Amanda Seyfried?
Oh, she was great.
I think she was the best part of the movie.
Amanda Seyfried, who I know her from Mean Girls.
Yes.
She's one of the plastics. Today we wear pink. On Wednesdays we wear pink?
I think it's Thursdays.
Oh my God, Todd.
Is it Wednesdays?
It's fucking Wednesday, man.
She doesn't even go
here. Todd, you don't even fucking go here,
I don't
man.
even fucking know Mean Girls.
One of my favorite lines from that day is that she's like eating Taco Bell, and why are you eating Taco Bell? She's like, I'm on an all-carb diet.
My personal favorite scene in that movie is when all the girls start fighting each other in the hallways, and Tim Meadows comes out with like a baseball bat, and he's like, "Oh hell no! I did not just leave the South Side for this shit." And he breaks the fire alarm.
Tim Meadows is
really good. I mean, I love Tim Meadows in anything, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the ladies' man. Come on.
Tim Meadows is fucking awesome. One of the more underrated SNL actors of all time.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, he's so good.
Even in what was that awful Will Ferrell movie? Semi-Pro. When he's in that, he's great in that. He's like the guy with the cast. He calls him a jive. What is it called? Jive turkey. Yeah. Oh man.
What'd you just call him? Nothing. He called you a cocksucker. Andy Daly's in that as well. Andy Daly's the other announcer.
Oh, true.
It's Andy Daly and Will Arnett are the basketball
Right.
announcers.
Right.
Nothing. He
No.
called you a cocksucker. I think you just called me a jive turkey. Great flick.
Back to Amanda Seyfried.
I thought she was the best part of the movie.
Nice. Yeah. She was very good.
So Marion Davis is in so many movies in
Yeah.
the 30s. I think she's more known for like Chaplin movies. I think she was in a couple of them.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. As far as I was looking back on it, I'm not as like obviously like as familiar with like certain people are going to look at this and be like, this guy doesn't know shit about the 30s and 40s movies. I don't, and I'm willing to admit that. But yeah,
I mean, so long ago. That's the thing too. Is like you make a movie like this, which is make these movies for sure. I'm not saying that, but there's a lot in the history that's lost on people. Like when you're watching a movie that takes place in the 80s, and you're like, oh, I remember that politician, or I know these people, right? You don't even need to know the history, the exact history. But when you or I watch a movie from the 30s, and I don't know who Sinclair is, the politician, whereas like you lose some of that because that's a lot. They're trying to show you like, oh, you know Sinclair, but you don't know the true story type of thing.
Yeah.
Which in a lot of movies they do that, and it works really well when you like something like the Watergate. What's that? All the President's Men. Like you're like, oh, I know about this, but I didn't know the true story. So there's a lot of that that's lost here.
Yeah, also, I agree with you fully on that. Like, you go back to it and you're like, do I really care that much? Because I wasn't there. Like...
Yeah. I mean, it's not even just that. It's that, like, I don't know any of these people. Like, I don't know who's the guy,
William Randolph Hearst?
No, Mayer, from Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, like...
Oh, the head of the MGM Studios?
Yeah.
That guy was Canadian, actually. I looked that up because they make several references to him being Canadian, and I looked it up, and he was one of the most successful producers of the studio at the time. He saw over a lot of big movies, and he has a really good monologue in there. Where he's like, "We're not about the lion," like
he was great in that movie.
He was really good too. I enjoyed him.
He was probably my favorite part. Actually, I love that scene where they're walking. They're
where they're going down the hall. I love that. The walk and talk,
yeah.
as Fincher has made so popular from The West Wing, right?
Aaron Sorkin.
Fuck. Yeah. But didn't Fincher work on that too?
Maybe he did.
I swear he did. Or maybe I'm thinking of House of Cards.
Sorkin saying this isn't on the script.
Sorkin is also affiliated with House of Cards too.
Yeah, he wrote.
And so did Fincher. He directed a bunch of episodes.
True.
So I think
let's call it both.
Yeah.
Let's call the walk and talk of Fincher Sorkin.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Because Sorkin, because walk with me, talk with me. Oh, the sheen. There's an episode of King of the Hill where Bobby has to write a book report, and he gets an F on him for Hank's reading it, and he's like, President Martin Sheen, and he's like, he thinks Martin Sheen's
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
But anyway, they do the walk and talk, and then. So yeah, there's a lot of homages. We already talked about that, but when he gets into the car, when Mank gets into the car with Marion Davis, he jumps in the car in the lot and they're pulling away. And they show the back through the back window of the car. You see him running toward the car. So that's an homage to Citizen Kane. Was the first movie to shoot a camera through a window.
Okay.
Because it shows him when it's a flashback to his childhood.
He's
playing with the sled.
He's playing with the sled, yes.
Famously, we know what the
obviously.
Sled is, but
what is
spoilers
if you
for
haven't,
Citizen Kane.
If you haven't fucking seen it, that was like when we were talking about the original Friday the 13th, like the very first one, and we were talking about it. And I was like, oh yeah, and it's crazy because like you think it's Jason the whole time, and it ends up just being his mom.
Yeah.
And then my buddy goes, oh, spoilers. And I look at him, I'm like, that movie came out in 1980. If you haven't fucking seen it by now, I'm like, too bad.
I'm still one of the people where it's like, don't tell me, I don't want to know. This was the first movie ever made.
Like
the train arrives at the station. Don't tell me. Wow, that's a nerdy film. School joke.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many people are going to get that, but first thing I ever put on film was a train arriving to a station.
That's right.
Anyway, which Martin Scorsese did in the movie Hugo. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. I was like, isn't it Hugo?
Mm-hmm.
Hugo. That was. I don't remember if that was like good. I remember I watched it. And it was
okay.
Yeah, it was alright.
But it's not a Scorsese.
It's not
movie.
it's not The Departed. It's not, Raging Bull. It's not, it's not...
What's your favorite Scorsese movie?
Oh, that's such a tough one. Like, it hit me with this, eh? I want to say Taxi Driver, but then I'm like, The Departed is so good, though.
Mine's Taxi Driver.
And even Raging Bull, I could throw... And even if you gotta go, like, Casino, too. Casino's so fucking good.
Do you like Casino more than Goodfellas?
I like Casino more than Goodfellas.
Wow.
I think maybe I've overseen Goodfellas.
But Goodfellas is so good.
Goodfellas is great too, but Casino
It's really
is fucking epic though. Yeah, Raging Bull, the Taxi Driver. Yeah, the Taxi Driver also just stands alone.
Taxi Driver blows my mind. Yeah, and he was so young, obviously.
And a young Jodie Foster in there as well.
I like in his interviews that he calls Robert De Niro Bob.
Oh.
Only Scorsese has that pleasure.
Yeah, only Scorsese can call him Bob.
Only
Hey,
Scorsese
Bobby!
can call him Bob. And Pesci, maybe.
And, yeah, probably Pesci, yeah. You don't want to piss off Pesci. Did I tell you that story about how Peter, like a friend of mine, he was in a casino in Vegas, and him and his buddy got in an elevator with Joe Pesci, and his buddy looked at him and was like, "Oh my God, you're Joe Pesci." And Pesci turned and looked at him and was like, "Don't fucking talk to me in the goddamn elevator." He's like, classic Pesci.
Classic Pesci.
Yeah, he got all irate.
That's
he
so
was just
good.
like, nice. He always in character.
Hey, you're pretty funny, Pesci. Shut the fuck up.
It's like when they were filming Home Alone. Like, it was so hard for him not to swear.
Yeah.
Like,
That's why he created that, like,
oh, that's a way of him, like, kind of like,
swearing,
yeah, like bottling it up.
because he
right?
just, like, in the script, there's no swears. He'd be like, "Ah, fuck that." Like, you can't keep saying fuck. It's a kid's movie, Pesci. Like, I should have got Scorsese to direct this.
like,
He would have made a no kids movie.
like he was just working with him, and he's like, he's just like,
I'm gonna beat this kid to death.
couldn't we just kill him? Wouldn't we just kill him? It's like, that's not how this
I
goes.
got a fucking gun. You put it to his fucking brain, and I pull the trigger.
Bam, he's dead. Bam, he's dead. It's like an Austin Powers, right?
He's fucking 8 years old.
Just take him out. Oh man.
So what? Do you put a fucking bunch of cars on the floor?
Not just any cars, Matchbox.
Oh, nice. Those are the good ones.
Those are the good ones. No Hot Wheels for that.
What are
kid.
those, like, cast iron? Fucking
Great.
Hot Wheels taking over the world with their plastics.
Oh yeah, the tracks. Me and my cousin used to hate each other with them all the time.
That's what they were really used for, yeah.
Yeah, we used to have sword fights.
Yeah, same.
I'm like, yeah, you want to race the cars or you want to whip each other with this hard plastic? I think this is how this is going down today.
It's awesome.
Back to Mank, I guess. We got really off subject there.
That's alright.
I mean, I guess we can kind of just jump into the overall critique, if you will.
Yeah, was there anything else that you really liked? Anything else you didn't like?
No, I'm indifferent on the whole thing. I don't know if I'm using that correctly.
Yeah, so what would you rate this movie out of 10?
Okay, this is where the problem arises. For people who are very much into these kind of, like, period piece, like, old nostalgic kind of movies, this is for you. This is great. But...
yeah, it's, here's the thing, too. I love movies about Hollywood. I really do.
I do, too.
Barton Fink is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
Which is actually fairly similar.
Yeah, kind of.
Coen Brothers.
Yeah, it's Coen Brothers film.
With John Turturro. Amazing movie. He's a playwright and goes to Hollywood kind of around the same time, and they want him to do a wrestling picture.
Oh, that's...
a wrestling picture. But he's a playwright, this like brilliant Broadway playwright or whatever, and he wants to do a Death of a Salesman type thing. And it's kind of about that, like, they won't let him do that thing. Which has there's a lot of those elements in Mank, but it loses the mark.
I know. It doesn't...
how.
It doesn't hit the mark.
I don't even know
and
how,
that's why I can't give it, like...
And honestly, I feel like most people will love this movie. Like, I really do.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will like it. Did I like it? Not entirely.
I'm glad I watched it.
I mean, yeah, it was cool to see, and I learned some stuff about, the making of Citizen Kane, and, about the writer, about Mankiewicz himself. Some stuff that's cool that I didn't know. But overall, it's not a classic movie.
It's no
for
Trumbo.
No, it's not. It's not.
Remember that movie?
Yes. It's not.
Bryan Cranston.
Yes. Oh my God.
That movie was actually, That's the weird thing. Like, I'm like, the story in Trumbo's kind of more interesting somehow, but I don't think Trumbo's a good movie.
No.
Like, there's so much wrong with it, but the character's more interesting. It's like something, I don't know.
I didn't care for the characters as much. Like, outside of Amanda Seyfried's character,
Yeah.
and like the MGM studio head,
Mhm.
I found a hard time connecting with any. Like, even his brother.
Oh, we should talk about Orson Welles.
The guy who played Orson Welles.
Yeah, what's his name? Tom.
He was actually not bad. Sounded like him too.
He looked exactly
And he looked like
him, man. I was like, but that's another thing that kind of annoys me when you cast just people that look like. I'm not one of those people that need someone to look like
Identical. Like, you get it, right?
But he did a really good job.
He did. He's
but
not in it as much as you would think he was.
No. And when he first arrives in the movie, that's when I was kind of like, okay, they got a guy to look exactly like Orson Welles, and I was kind of upset about that. But he did a great job. Tom Burke plays Orson Welles.
Berkster. If I was going to give it a rating, I'd give it like a 6.5.
Wow. So I give it a 7. One other good thing I have to mention, because the intro, so this is another thing, like, how it gets lost is, like, the intro has that, like, in Citizen Kane, it's very weird. They do this, like, side angle, where it's a fence. It's the fence of Citizen Kane's house. And it's this weird, like, I don't even know how to describe it, weird angle, but the text is on that angle. So the text is not forward facing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very strange, and a lot of movies didn't do that. This movie starts that way. And I really like that. Mank started that way and did that same text thing. Thought that was really cool. So I guess that's maybe where this all comes from, why I got, like, disappointed. Because it sets it up like, this is going to be so much like...
Yes,
it's not. Anyway.
Because that's what I found. To me, it was just like a biopic of, like, the making of Citizen Kane. But...
Is it biopic or biopic?
Biopic? Who said biopic?
I'd say biopic too, but it's funny because people say biopic. Yeah,
that's not right. It's biopic. It's a biography. It's not called a biography.
Biography.
That's not right.
That's true, though. That is.
Yeah, it's like those idiots who say zebra.
Biography.
Those idiots who say zebra.
Those are called British people. They say zebra in the UK.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but I've also heard, like, non-UK people call it that. And I'm like...
Maybe it's because they say biography, but they say biopic.
Nah, fuck that
That's
shit.
probably why.
I
just realized it.
Could be the accent, actually.
But people, like American people, say biopic sometimes.
I mean, if you're listening
it's kind of a pretentious thing.
If you're listening to this and, like, you can answer this question for us, tweet me. That'd be great. Let me know. Like,
yeah, tweet us shout out to our Twitter at movielabeoufs.
Yeah, and let me
pretty much at movielabeoufs on everything.
Yeah, and just crack an egg of knowledge on me. Let me know if I'm wrong. I don't think I am.
Todd, you're always wrong.
Nah, never happened.
Never been once.
Never been once. Not a once. Overall, very run of the mill for me.
Right.
As I might have mentioned before in another podcast. What worries me, another episode. I'm sorry. What worries me is that because the script is written by his deceased father, and that it's this, like, making
you
of
think
it.
That's going to give it
I think
Oscar credibility.
Yes, I think the Academy's going to pick that over Sound of Metal.
You know what? This is an Academy movie.
Oh, it's Oscar bait for sure. It's got Oscar bait written all over it.
Beyond that, though, the Academy is like a fucking 1940s.
Yeah, it's all rich white people.
It's from the 1910s, I think, 1919 or something.
We're at what, 100 and what now?
No, we're at 90. Oh yeah, so no, I guess it's
at 102. I think.
No, we're at like 93.
Oh, they haven't hit 100.
So I guess it's from the.
But yeah, the issue is that the Oscars always pick, like, they're gonna pick, like, what's
they want Hollywood movies.
Yeah,
like this movie takes place in Hollywood. It's about Hollywood.
Yeah,
I'll be very surprised if this doesn't win Oscars. I don't think it should win any.
I don't think it should win any.
Really?
No.
I think it might win cinematography.
I would give it that.
Which is maybe fair.
Yeah, let's give it that.
It's probably fair.
It's shot very well. Like,
yeah, he did a good job. As much as we said,
like it is shot well. Like as much as it doesn't fit the movie, it still looks good.
I mean, it still fits the movie. Don't get me wrong, but
it's not.
Doesn't hit the mark.
It doesn't hit the mark. And like like, let me know if I'm wrong, people, but like, it's
That's
just
like
not
a thing.
there.
I feel guilty about saying it.
I
know
don't, because
why.
I don't even think Citizen Kane is that great. Like, it's good, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but it's not the end all of end all movies. Like, the fact
Citizen Kane might even be the first like anti-hero. So there's all those little reasons that make Citizen Kane. Like Citizen Kane is so important because it had so many firsts. There's no movie like it.
Yeah.
That had this many.
and I
firsts.
understand that, but there's better movies.
Yeah, like what?
Well, what's the running debate? What's the better movie,
Well,
Citizen Kane or
Vertigo,
Vertigo?
yeah.
Vertigo, in my opinion, is 10 times better. Now, I'm a Hitchcock, like, fucking
Nerd.
groupie, so, like, I don't dislike any Hitchcock movies, so that's just on me.
I have noticed that you always stand profile.
Yes. And I haven't packed them on.
Yeah, that's true. The beer, the beer bellies are out there. Yeah.
Orson Welles also got a little husky. What's that line in Superbad where he's like, I honestly understand why he ate his fat ass to death. Oh, he's like, I peaked too early. He's like, and Michael Cera's like, oh yes, much like Orson Welles. He's like, yes.
Wow, that's such a film nerd joke that definitely kids at that age did not write.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I peaked. He's like, it was my sexual awakening. I peaked too early in grade 10. He's like, like Orson Welles. Yes, exactly. I understand why he ate his fat ass to death now. I was like, oh,
that's kind of true. Yeah,
it is true. He did. It's critically like claimed that he peaked too early. He became famous too quickly, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I think when he
he's
started
so
drinking,
young.
and you know, because like fame will do that to
I mean, yeah, man. Like, hell, imagine what I would have done
if you were
Imagine
26.
if you like fucking created Citizen Kane when you were
biggest movie.
fucking 23.
But that's the thing, right? Like, that's like you did the best thing first, and nothing else will really come. Like, that's kind of what, like, you did your best work at the beginning. You can never follow that up, right? That's kind of like the problem that most people have. Even a lot of directors do that, where they put out like great first movies, and then after that, it's just drudgery for years, right? Like,
Yeah, that's true. Because I think the issue is that people give them too many fucking offers, you know? And you're like, well, I'm going to take it because they offered me this much money. You
Yeah.
know, this project sounds okay, but...
oh yeah, like every actor has or director has their price. Like, except for a certain few, like, you know, like obviously like Scorsese or like Tarantino or whatever. They're kind of just going to do what they want regardless. Huh?
Yeah, Tarantino has no price.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Obviously.
He makes his own movies.
They're going to do, like, yeah, people, like, the big directors will...
So was Orson Welles the first Tarantino. He had full control.
I mean, that is very similar. There are some very, like, similarities you can compare the two, too.
Absolutely.
They're both ahead of their
Which is crazy.
time.
I think that's why Citizen Kane is regarded as, like, so huge. Because, like, it doesn't seem like a movie that came out in 1940.
No, that's the
It's like
thing.
a movie that came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to say 50s?
50s, 60s.
But which is fair, but like that's why I think people love it so much. It doesn't, it's not very dated.
No, it's not.
It drags a little.
I find it drags a little bit, yes. I feel that you could make it a bit shorter, but
Yeah.
that's always what I've thought.
But it's
I think it
supposed to be
costs-
this grand epic, and at the time it was an epic. Like, that's an epic, right?
I will say this, it is, like, by, like, old movie there's very few movies from that time period, that people can still watch, right? Like, that's one of them. It's a Wonderful Life, and, like, even the Hitchcock movies, like Psycho.
Yeah,
like, those are the very, like, there's very few movies
There's
from
a
that.
bunch, but yeah.
Yeah, there are, but for me, anyway, I can watch them all, but for, like, the general populace, sorry.
Right.
Like, if you were to go to some kid and be like, hey, what do you want to watch? iRobot or Citizen Kane? What do you think the kid...
Why iRobot?
I tried to think of the most kiddish movie I could think of in my head, and I was like, I don't know, iRobot.
iRobot.
Something with CG in it. I was like,
I'm allergic to bullshit.
oh, that's right. Oh, God. Yo, but I will say this about that movie, though. I think I saw it, like, maybe once again, like, a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and it went up on streaming service. That movie, for when it was made in, like, 2000, or, like, mid-2000s, it still looks good.
Yeah, it does. I like it.
It's not a good movie.
I like it. But I'm a sci-fi guy, and
Yeah.
robots, fuck yeah, I want some robots.
But it looks fucking good.
But it's that classic, like, Will Smith thing, where he's got to be like, I'm dragging your dreadlocks ass through the desert. Like, why do you hate it? Like, why?
You did not just shoot that green shit at me.
Like, he always has to have, like, that sort of, which, you know what? That's what makes those movies, like, so big and everything. Because
They're blockbusters because he's in it.
And then it's, like, for kids, and they can laugh. It's
Yeah.
like fucking superhero movies. They're
Yeah.
like they're superheroes trying to save the fucking world,
Didn't he
but then
do
at
one?
the same time they do those shitty jokes the whole
Oh,
time.
what was that movie he made with Charlize Theron? What the?
Oh, you mean
Hancock. Foot
Hancock.
penis.
Yeah, I was gonna say Hitch.
No,
Hancock, where it's and they have the
move,
bitch.
That was ludicrous.
Ludicrous. I always mix that up.
God, that movie had such promise. I saw it. I was like, this looks cool, and then. Fuck, I was like, this sucks. Like, it was so bad.
Yeah.
Much of it, a lot of his movies are like that. Have you ever seen the one where he had the dog?
Oh, I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. My God, that movie started off so good, and I was like, this is gonna be fucking sick. And then when I saw those CG fucking things coming out of there, I was like,
And they filmed like 4 endings. And
oh yeah,
and they chose the worst one.
Oh, and they picked the worst one.
Yeah, because you see.
I saw the alternate ones. And I was like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you just pick that one?
Yeah.
I was like, that is clearly better. I was like, I know I'm not your fucking studio audience, but like, come on. And I was like, did you blow your whole budget on the set? Why is this CG so shit? That robot movie came out before that one and it looked better. It doesn't make any sense to me. I was like, it had such promise to be a good movie and it just was shit. Like a lot of his movies are. And I feel bad for saying that. Like, he tries.
Have you seen Gemini then?
That looks fucking bad, but
apparently it was awful.
I can only imagine it's bad because it's got Mary Elizabeth Weinstein in it, and usually she's in like now I think she's
Yeah,
like
both Will Smiths were bad in that movie.
Will Smith, young Will Smith. Will Smith. There should have been Carlton in there. Uncle CG
yeah.
Uncle Phil.
Yeah, you would have to,
You would have to.
unfortunately. Rest in peace.
Just get the guy who played Suge Knight in the Biggie movie. He looks exactly like him. Yeah, no, I just feel bad because he tries to make good movies, and he's not a bad actor, but he's not.
No, he's a good actor, yeah.
He's not, but he's not like top tier for me. Like he's.
No. I wonder, like, what's a very serious movie that he's been in?
Concussion. Concussion is
okay,
very good.
Okay, Concussion, I was going to
Concussion
say
is very
Pursuit
good.
of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness is good too.
He's good in it.
He's very good in it. I'm not the biggest fan of the movie. I'm like, I get it. Like, it's, but it's all right. It's a little too feelsy for me. Like,
so he can act. I mean, even in those movies, he's not like
no, he can
it's not,
act.
like amazing. But
He can act. It's just he's not. I don't think he's ever gonna. I don't know. I don't think he's ever gonna hit that level that he
I
thinks
watched
he can hit.
his. He's been the biggest actor in the world.
Well, he's one of the highest paid actors in the world.
Yeah.
But he wants the Oscar nomination. He wants the Oscar credit. But he's not. I don't think he's ever.
He's not doing any of those movies anymore, though.
Well, he did. He was pissed because Concussion didn't get nominated.
Did it not?
I don't think it got nominated.
I thought it did.
Really? I don't think it did.
Maybe for like something.
I think he got snubbed, but even then, he was great in Concussion. But like, I remember, I can't remember off the top of my head what movies were in there, but we're in the categories that year. But all I remember is looking at it and I was like, oh, like every single thing in here is better than that movie. Like,
Well, anything else you want to say about Mank?
we just got off topic there as usual, but it's all good. No, I mean, I said, if you're a fan of Citizen Kane,
yeah,
and you want a little bit more backstory on it, and you like those kind of like,
is this going to be one of those movies that people forget about in 5 years?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'll forget about it by tomorrow. Really, to be honest with you. Like,
wait, what movie are we talking about?
No, like I said, if you like these kind of movies, like those old 1940 style movies, like La La Land and shit like that, then this is for you. But if you don't, stay away.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to find a movie to watch, like, it's gonna be a better watch than
than certain things. 100%.
Your shitty Netflix movie, but yeah, that's
whoa. They just put out a movie now with Melissa McCarthy and some other lady where they play superheroes. No, let's not shit on that now.
It's Octavia Spencer.
Oh, it is Octavia Spencer.
Yeah. But anyway,
Mama.
what I mean is, like, there's so much bad shit that people just spend their time watching on Netflix. Like, this is an escape from that for sure. And it's on Netflix.
Also true.
All right, so that's Mank, I guess. Todd, take us out with the musical outro.
My name is Todd, and I'm here to say the runtime was long, but it's still okay.
Alright, we're back into the runtime again.